In August of 2025, French live streamer Jean Parmenov went live for 12 days straight. At first, it seemed like just another marathon stream, but by the end, viewers would witness something far darker than they could ever expect. Jean, real name Raphael Graven, was 46 years old and one of the most well-known figures in a controversial niche called trash streaming, a style of content built on chaos and shocking acts, with viewers watching him and his friends choke each other, stage fights, fire paintball guns at close range, and sometimes worse. It was messy and reckless, but it earned him a massive following, eventually making him one of the biggest streamers in France. Yet behind the chaos and fame, it was slowly wearing him down.
Je veux pas, je le souhaite pas du tout. Mais imagine un jour dans le délire, on est en train de rigoler et tout et...
Il clapse
en plein live.
Ouais.
On est mort.
À moins qu'il se fasse caméra là maintenant, que si demain il meurt en plein live, c'est dû à son état de santé de merde et pas nous.
Non.
Comme ça,
non,
non,
du tout.
Comme ça, non.
Je fais rien du tout.
These were Jean's closest streaming partners, and in this clip, they pressured him to publicly say that if anything happened during a live stream, it would be because of his poor health and not their actions. At the time, it was brushed off as dark humor, but later, it would take on a much darker meaning. So when Jean and his group started a marathon stream, it was meant to be their biggest stunt yet, with every moment of their lives exposed to the audience. At first, it looked like his other streams. Donations came in, dares were carried out. But as the days went by, Jean's condition started to decline. The stunts were taking a toll, and he was running on almost no sleep. By the 12th day, Jean was barely able to function. That night, the group finally went quiet, all of them asleep on camera. For a while, nothing seemed unusual. Jean could even be heard snoring, his chest rising and falling. But then, the sound stopped. The others shifted in their sleep, unaware. And unknowingly, thousands of viewers had just witnessed his final moments, live. A short time later, a donation came through, urging the others to check on him. But by the time they did, it was already too late. Jean Parmenov was dead. The story spread quickly online, and very soon, attention turned to the people he had been streaming with, people who would quickly be blamed for his murder, and the truth behind it all would turn out to be even more disturbing than anyone imagined. Many viewers blamed them for encouraging him to push his limits, with one French commenter writing, "As a French person, I'd like to add some important details. This man is a former soldier who suffered from heart problems. Despite that, these people kept beating him, preventing him from sleeping, playing by strangling him, and so on. Treating someone with such health issues in this way is unacceptable. They claim it was acting, but that's not true. They were taking advantage of him, and the viewers also took part in this escalation." Even more chilling was a private message Jean had sent his mother during the marathon. "Hi Mom, how are you? Stuck for a bit in this death game. It's going too far. I feel like I'm kidnapped with their concept. I'm fed up. I want to get out of here. The other guy won't let me. He's keeping me locked in." It revealed Jean wasn't just exhausted, but felt trapped and exploited by the very people around him. French authorities are still investigating exactly what happened during those 12 days, but what is clear is that Jean's case revealed just how dark trash streaming can become, and tragically, his wasn't the only life lost because of it. In fact, it was just one of several live streams where viewers would watch tragedy unfold in real time. On October 28, 2019, Japanese live streamer Tetsushi Ohara, known online as Tetsu, began live streaming himself as he attempted to climb Mt Fuji. At 47, he had streamed many mountain climbs before, but this time was different. It was the off-season. The trails were closed, and conditions on the mountain were deadly. What started as just another climb would soon end in one of the most haunting live streams ever streamed. For Tetsu, climbing had become more than a hobby. It was an escape. He lived alone, battling stage 4 colon cancer, and carried years of personal disappointment. After repeated failures to pass the bar exam, he turned to live streaming in 2015, sharing everyday moments and mountain climbs, perhaps as a way to cope with the isolation. But on this October day, his audience would see something far different. Early that morning, Tetsu began his broadcast at the foot of Mt Fuji. He admitted to viewers that he felt sick and was afraid, comments that, in hindsight, sounded like grim foreshadowing. This was his first off-season climb, a time when even experienced mountaineers sometimes never return. Just in 2024 alone, at least 6 people had died attempting the same thing. As he started his climb, it quickly became clear he wasn't prepared. He wore jeans, light boots, a fleece jacket, and thin gloves. Gear completely unsuitable for the freezing conditions ahead. And as the climb went on, it became obvious this wasn't the only crucial equipment he had left behind. Still, he walked past warning signs saying the trail was closed and continued making his way up. The higher he climbed, the more dangerous it became. With no stations open along the route, there was nowhere to rest or seek shelter. And as the trail grew steeper and coated in frozen snow, some viewers asked if he had brought crampons, the metal spikes needed for icy ground. He admitted he had left them at home, brushing it off and insisting it wouldn't be a problem. But little did everyone know, it was a mistake that would soon prove disastrous. As he climbed higher, the path narrowed into steep, icy slopes, where one wrong step could mean disaster. His hands were going numb from the cold, and without crampons to grip the frozen ground, every step was a risk. Viewers watched as he tried to steady himself along the ledge, when suddenly, everything went wrong.
ちょっとだけマシになった。指ちょっと待って、こう脇作戦で。うわ、滑る。滑んな。ここ滑るな。だけど雪で。よし、行こう。ここも危ないね。ちょっと斜面。滑る。
He slipped from the mountainside, and the live stream cut off abruptly. Viewers quickly alerted authorities, and a search began. 2 days later, rescuers discovered a body nearly 2,300 feet, or about 700 meters below the point where he had fallen. The damage was so severe that identification took a few days, but it was ultimately confirmed to be Tetsu. At first, many assumed it was nothing more than a tragic accident, but speculation spread quickly, and viewers pointed to how poorly equipped he was, the risky timing of his climb, and the unsettling remarks he made on the way up. Some questioned whether it had really been an accident at all, or if Tetsu had chosen Mt Fuji as the place to end it all. One viewer summed up the theory bluntly. "A dying man decided to climb Mt Fuji without the proper equipment. I'm sorry, but this was deliberate." To this day, it remains unclear whether Tetsu's death was a tragic misstep in deadly conditions or a deliberate final climb to his death. On April 16, 2017, 37-year-old Steve Stevens from Cleveland, Ohio, uploaded a video to Facebook, one that within hours would horrify millions.
Found me somebody about to kill this guy right here. You're old dude too. Oh. Hi. Can you do me a favor? Can you say Joy Lane?
What?
Can you say Joy Lane?
Joy Lane?
Yeah. She's the reason why this is about to happen to you.
The footage showed Stevens stop his car and approach an elderly man collecting cans. He forced him to say the name Joy Lane, then, without warning, raised a and the horror didn't end there. Just minutes later, Stevens went live on Facebook, confessing to the and claiming he had already killed 13 more people.
I snapped, dog. I just snapped, dog. I just snapped. I just 13, man. That's what I did. I killed 13 people, and I'm about to keep until they catch me. Yeah, sorry about that, man. Listen, man. Like I said, I killed 13, so I'm working on 14 as we speak. But yeah, just man, you know, and all because this. You know, she put me in my pushing point, man.
Authorities quickly realized they were dealing with a dangerous murderer who could strike again, and the race was on to catch him before he could disappear completely. But for the next 2 days, there were no signs of him anywhere. Police and the FBI issued alerts across multiple states, and a $50,000 reward was offered for information leading to his arrest, with the media soon dubbing him the Facebook Killer. But then, on the 18th of April, a break finally came. An employee at McDonald's recognized Steven at the drive-thru and quietly delayed his order while calling the authorities. Moments later, officers arrived at the scene and boxed in his car, but before they could arrest him, Stevens turned the weapon on himself, bringing the manhunt to a shocking end. In the aftermath, authorities confirmed that despite his claims, no other victims were found. The only life he had taken was that of 74-year-old Robert Godwin Sr., an innocent stranger with no connection to him, chosen at random to die on camera, in front of millions. It was a senseless act driven by anger and a desperate need for attention, leaving a family grieving and millions of viewers horrified that someone could kill a stranger just for attention. But the next case would show just how much darker livestream tragedies could get, with a slow and brutal death playing out in front of thousands. Stanislav Reshetniak, known online as Replay, was a Russian live streamer infamous for his trash streams built around shocking stunts that escalated with viewer donations. But one of those streams would go too far, ending in a slow, brutal tragedy, all caught live. Replay began his career with gaming and gambling streams, but when he saw how profitable trash streaming could be, he fully embraced it. His streams became increasingly degrading, with viewers paying him to perform dares and extreme challenges. Drinking was a common theme, and his girlfriend, Valya, was often the target. Donations sometimes forced her to drink while already drunk, and in one disturbing case, a single dollar prompted Replay to spray her live on stream. One day, one of these donations would prompt Replay to go too far. On December 2nd, 2020, Replay went live on YouTube with Valya and another woman. At first, it looked like one of his usual chaotic live streams, with drinking and casual chatter. But as the night went on, the drinking escalated, tensions rose, and the group turned on each other while under the influence. At one point, Replay snapped at Valya, warning, "Touch me again and I'll your face." A chilling threat that foreshadowed what was to come. But as the stream went on, the argument grew worse. Valya eventually turned off the camera, but the fighting continued off-screen. Then, a donation came in that changed everything. A viewer sent in a $1,000 donation with a chilling request to lock Valya outside on the balcony. Despite the freezing temperature of 26 degrees Fahrenheit or -3 Celsius, Replay agreed without hesitation. He dragged her out to the balcony and shut the door as she begged him to stop. Instead of letting her back inside, he returned to streaming. But as the minutes passed, Valya's voice could still be heard, pleading to be let inside. However, Replay ignored her, mocking that he'd only let her in if the stream reached 50 more likes.
50 лайков, я вот за ногу ее тащу, сюда притаскиваю, вот я отвечаю.
But by the time he hit the like goal, it was already too late. When he finally dragged her back inside, she was already unresponsive, her body cold with no pulse. Viewers frantically called the authorities, and eventually Replay did as well, continuing the live stream until paramedics arrived and pronounced Valya dead. Replay was soon arrested and later convicted of intentional infliction of grievous bodily harm, resulting in death by negligence, and was promptly sentenced to 6 years in prison. For many viewers, the case became a shocking example of how the pursuit of money and shock value in trash streaming could so easily spiral into something deadly. Jesus Sarmiento was a 25-year-old Venezuelan TikToker with around 80,000 followers. His content stood out for its boldness, openly criticizing organized crime and government corruption in Venezuela. In video after video, Sarmiento called out the country's most notorious gangs and accused officials of working hand-in-hand with them. His outspoken posts quickly gained him an audience, but they also made him a target. Threats poured in constantly, and eventually, one of them would become real. On June 22, 2025, Sarmiento was live streaming on TikTok when his mother could suddenly be heard screaming. As he asked what was happening, the sound of rapid gunfire erupted on the live stream. Viewers then heard him shout, "I've been shot," before 2 armed gunmen stormed into view and the live stream cut to black. His mother was struck in the abdomen, but luckily survived. Sarmiento, however, was not that lucky and was hit at least 9 times. Unfortunately, he wouldn't survive. Authorities later identified and arrested one of the gunmen along with his accomplice, but the second shooter, along with 3 other suspects tied to the attack, remain at large, with active arrest warrants to this day. Sarmiento's murder was far from an isolated case. In Latin America, speaking out against crime has long been a deadly gamble, with at least 126 activists killed in 2023 alone, and Sarmiento became another name added to that grim list. But as disturbing as his story was, the next livestream would unfold in a completely different way, spiraling into a police standoff. In March 2016, 23-year-old Corinne Gaines posted a video of herself being pulled over by police during a traffic stop. In it, she refused to hand over her license and argued with the officers on camera. At the time, it seemed like just another viral encounter, but it foreshadowed something far more serious. A 6-hour police standoff streamed live, one that would end in tragedy. About 4 months later, on August 1st, 2016, Baltimore County officers went to Gaines's apartment to serve an arrest warrant for failing to appear in court on traffic charges and disorderly conduct. What should have been a routine arrest quickly escalated. Officers knocked, but Gaines refused to open the door. They eventually got a key from the landlord and went inside, where they found her armed with a shotgun. That discovery sparked a tense 6-hour standoff. Throughout the standoff, Gaines continued live streaming. Viewers could see an armed officer standing in the hallway inside her apartment. The longer it went on, the more concerned police became about her reach online. So, after several hours, they contacted Facebook and asked for her account to be shut down. Once the stream was cut, the situation inside quickly took a turn. According to officers, they kept trying to de-escalate and convince her to surrender, but Gaines allegedly warned them, "If you don't leave, I'm going to get you." The shooting immediately sparked nationwide controversy. Critics accused police of escalating the situation unnecessarily, while others argued that Gaines had acted recklessly. Her family later won a $37 million civil judgment, though on appeal, it was reduced.